Hi.
We're here today with Leanna Renee Hieber, and she's going to be talking about her newest book coming out, Darker Still. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your new book.
I'm so excited about Darker Still and the Magic Most Foul series. We're here in the New York Public Library, one of the most beautiful historic buildings in New York City, and the whole Magic Most Foul series takes place in historic New York, and so I'm so excited. I live here in New York, and I'm so excited to tap in both to my favorite themes, which are paranormal elements, and also my favorite time period, which is the Victorian time period, specifically the 1880s, and bring both New York history and a little bit of supernatural invention into this book.
Can you tell us what was the writing process like for Darker Still?
Well, I've always wanted to write a haunted painting story, so that's been a love of mine, that theme of a haunted painting. Ever since I was a kid and I saw the Sesame Street film Don't Eat the Pictures, which was actually filmed in the Metropolitan Museum of Art here in New York, I loved that idea of like what would happen if I was trapped in a museum overnight, and how would that work? And then also the idea of the haunted painting, of course, comes from Oscar Wilde and The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is one of my absolute favorite novels. So I took a lot of themes from my favorite classic literature, like Dracula, which is done in diary entries and in newspaper articles and in letters, and that's called the epistolary style. And so I took that format and used Natalie's diary as the way to tell the story. So I was doing some homage to various classic books that way, but then, of course, putting my own spin on it, and a little bit more dark magic as well.
Oh, that's nice. And how long did it take you to write Darker Still?
I was working on several projects at the time, but it was about a 9-month process to get the book to a point of actual publication. So it went through many different revisions and many different changes, adding characters, taking out elements. So yeah, I mean, for me to have a really, really good book in hand, it needs to be at least 6 months. Sometimes that has to be pushed more quickly if you have a deadline, but my ideal time for a decent book would be, about 9 months. That's the ideal time. And
do you feel that Natalie is anything like you at all? Does she have any of your qualities like?
In part, a little bit. She's spunky and she's very opinionated, and I'm definitely very opinionated. She's also very passionate about things that she loves. She also loves reading. She loves storytelling. She is such a storyteller, and her diary really is a way for her to create stories. Ways in which Natalie and I are different is Natalie suffers from selective mutism, and that's a condition that often will strike children if they've been involved in some sort of childhood trauma. Natalie loses her mother at a very young age, and from that point she does not speak. So this is a process of growth for Natalie as she battles this condition. It has certain social anxiety factors that factor into selective mutism as well. So she's battling this in the midst of this paranormal circumstance, and that's a challenge that Natalie faces. And frankly, she's much more brave than I am. That's a way in which we're very different. She is a very brave girl. I put her in some crazy situations.
Did you find that it was hard to write a character that was a mute? Like, was there a lot of research done into that?
I did research. I had thankfully some wonderful beta readers who also helped give me some sense of their own experience that had selective mutism as well. And I just tried to be sensitive to that idea. I think all of us, as a writer, you need to be able to put your mind into the mind of someone else. Same thing, I spent many years as a professional actress. Similarly so, you also have to be able to put yourself into that role. So I did a lot of thinking, a lot of reading, and then just kind of trusted my gut and trusted my instincts. And I found that managing the sign language part of things was the more difficult thing, because Natalie does know sign language, and as I'm trying to write that, I had to make sure that it was a condensed language. You can't, sign language is sort of shorthand, and so I had a wonderful beta reader who is fluent in sign help me along that path and try and make sure that the things that I was taking down that she was speaking in sign were a little bit more accurate and less Victorian styled, because a lot of sign language is very, very efficient, and my writing style is very flowery. So.
And how different do you think Darker Still is now, the release copy, from when you first wrote it? Was there a lot taken out, or?
There's a lot of changes. there's new characters. Maggie, the niece character, who I can't imagine the novel without, wasn't in the original script. Natalie's nightmares, which are actually now my very favorite part of the novel, were not in the original draft. So certain elements profoundly changed, and that was all with editorial support. My editor, Leah at Sourcebooks, is amazing, and she asked the question, I want Natalie and Denbury to have more of an active life because he's trapped in this painting. My hero is trapped in a painting, so that's a huge constraint. So the idea of them sharing dreams was a huge benefit, and it was one of those things, she said that, and then I could take and run with it. A good editor will ask you the right questions, and then you, as the writer, have to come up with the answers. And every single time I made revisions, it was a better book.
And what do you hope your readers will gain from reading Darker Still? Like, is there a special message you hope that they get?
Yeah, I do, because for a few things. I mean, I am writing for the young adult market. I am very passionate about classic literature, specifically Victorian literature. That's just been a passion of mine, actually, since I was a teenager. So I'm sharing my teenage obsession, which was Edgar Allan Poe and Oscar Wilde and Bram Stoker and Mary Shelley and all the great Gothic classics. I want to share that love, so I want to be the gateway drug to 19th century literature. So if you like Darker Still, then you like these other things too. I also want readers to identify with Natalie. The theme of the book for her is finding her voice, and I think there are so many people who feel outside. They feel that they are maybe disenfranchised, and they're struggling to find their voice in the world. And I think for every young person and every person at any point in their life, that's an important theme, to find your voice.
That's good. Okay, one more question.
Yeah.
Actually, two more.
Great.
If you weren't a writer, what would you be doing right now?
I would be back in the theater, because I spent many, many years as a professional actress, and I still love that so much. I absolutely love the theater, and I'm still involved some in the theater. I'm currently working as a scriptwriter for a new musical, which is based on my first novel, and that's a great love. So I'm still in the theater. I think I would just, if I wasn't writing books, I'd just be back in theater full time.
What can we expect next?
Well, we will have the next Magic Most Foul book, which will be out about a year from now. So, I mean, at least right now we're targeting next November. And we will have The Strangely Beautiful Tale of Miss Percy Parker will be a show at some point. So I'll be working on that. We just don't know where that will be actually up on its feet. We're working on just staged readings and workshopping here in New York right now. So I'll have both the show moving forward. At some point I will have the last Strangely Beautiful book out. I just don't know how that's going to factor into my other release schedules. But as far as my novels are concerned, the next Magic Most Foul book is really exciting for me. That's to be TBA on the title yet. We're not exactly sure, but it'll be something spooky and awesome.
Oh, can't wait. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to meet me today and answer my questions.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to your future book.
Thank you.
Can't wait for the name. Think of us as a cover and name review.
Okay, I think we can arrange that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.